Okay, so basically, right now I'm doing a month-long project with in lieu of Le French May, and we're doing a performance inside the Heritage Museum.
Okay.
With
French May is a festival they have every year in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And it's a French themed arts festival.
Yeah, arts and culture. Yes. Yeah. So basically, this is through my teacher.
So you got it through your teacher.
Yeah. So my teacher is the biggest inspiration for me, and also biggest
dance
leader. Yes, for me in dance and in life. Andy Wong.
Andy Wong.
So she's a huge individual in my life, not just dance, but just generally in my life. And what they've done is they changed that one of the levels to looking like Le Louvre. And
if you don't know, the Louvre is the very famous French art museum.
And so what they did, they brought a lot of the artifacts and paintings from Le Louvre, shipped it over to Hong Kong for this festival.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was so happy. So I had the honor to choose to be the one to create the concepts, you know?
Okay.
And my teacher choreographed to the concepts that I deliberated. So we chose 3 pieces, a painting, a sculpture, and an antique piece. And through that, I researched on the story and also created the angle of what we're trying to convey.
Yeah.
And so we did the gala dinner with it as well, but then now we just did actually...
Where was the gala dinner?
Also at the Heritage Museum, they did a setup, but this is inside the whole museum exhibition itself. And we just did the first one yesterday. So we did the first 3 shows. And it's for school tours, but they also have public tours, and it's only a few days, and it's only lasting until end of June, every Tuesdays.
So if you're listening to the podcast this week, you can still see it.
Yeah, so you still have time, and it's really
2017, in case this podcast is like on for years.
Yeah, and it was just amazing. So I'm working with 5 other dancers and my teacher, and then we built this project up, and wow. So literally we are doing the whole experience, the 60-minute tour experience. So it's amazing, and
so you're not on a specific stage. You're roaming around.
Yes, we're literally inside, and then where we chose the 3 pieces, we will have the performance there. But then we also have a few other pieces in between as well. But throughout the whole tour, we're with the members, with the guests, and it's such a special project because there was no dance ever performed inside the museum itself, so we're the first. And 2 is to be able to research and do the whole. This is where my whole writing part comes out. To do the research about all the artifacts and writing out the basis for it. Oh my God, it was just so inspiring.
Alrighty, so that's Jessie Jing, and whoa, I'm walking back up the mid-levels escalator, and everywhere there are posters for the French May exhibitions. Le Louvre, 400 years. I'm looking at the poster. 400 years of Le Louvre from Palace to Museum. So Jessie's doing that right now. Wow. Talking to Jessie Jing, dancer, writer, fire performer, grinder. A quick note, that's not grinding with the Diabolo, Chinese yo-yo, and it's not dirty dancing. Grinding is making massive showers of sparks with power tools, grinding against metal breastplates, etc. on your body. Okay, Jessie Jing, how to live as an artist in Hong Kong. Great stuff. Let's listen to Jessie. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, where can we find you on the internet? Say someone's listening to this and they want to know more about Jessie Jing.
Well, Facebook, really. I mean, I do have my own website.
So Jessie Jing on Facebook?
Yes, Jessie Jing is my Facebook. Well, I mean, I do have a website where I do all my writing and all that. But I don't really, it's hard to say where I am on the internet. The internet is quite big as well.
All right, okay.
But yeah, I mean, Facebook is a good starting point, or maybe Instagram. I love to post. I'm a very, very visual person.
Where do we find you on Instagram?
Instagram is also it's called Jingly, so it's like Jingely.
Okay.
It's funny how I got that name, but anyways, yeah.
All right. jingthewriter.com.
Yes, that's the website for my writing.
So you have a love of writing, not only you're a dancer.
Yes, well, actually, I believe because for me, this is where it goes back to the whole question of what am I, you know? It's right now at this point of time, I'm not just a dancer, to put that honestly. I'm not just a performing artist. There are so many elements to it, and one of it is I really love to create things, you know, through dance or through writing. And every fundamental creation, you need to make a record of it. And how I record it is writing. It gives me the initial or fundamental idea to build that concept up, you know, on what I want to convey, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can't sometimes there are just things that you can't put into words, but you can at least structure the intention, you know, and structure the message for a general public to see, because what isn't spoken by words is sometimes is a bit too ambiguous for people to receive it. Because sometimes on stage, whether with or without choreography, it's more momentous, you know. And I believe that writing could create more of a rippled impact, long-term impact. Yeah.
So, in broad terms, do you think of yourself as an artist for art's sake, or do you see yourself as an artist who's making a living, and everything you do has to earn money to help pay the rent?
Okay, so this was actually a very challenging question for myself, and very challenging experience to have gone through to discover. I am someone that is I do play on the safe side a lot of the times. I like stability, I like security. However, I decided to go down the way of arts, you know, recently, and find my way around it. So I build my life around it rather than I let art go around my supposed career. You know, it was a very difficult decision, especially in Hong Kong. However, now I've established that being an artist, or how I believe being an artist is, it's not just a career. You can make a career out of it, but it is a way of life. It is definitely a way of life, and this is influenced by the traditional Japanese mindsets, you know, and how they go about with their works of art. You know, for example, the tea ceremony, the samurai way of life. You know, I really took that on into my journey of being an artist. Yes, yeah.
Well, before we finish with this section,
yes.
What would you say is the percent? So you've still got to earn enough money to buy your food, pay your rent. So what would you say is percentages of different percentages of income? For me, 90% of my income comes from performing. It's a bit risky because if I don't get any shows, I don't get any income.
Yes.
But 90%, 10% from investments. Yes. And my backup plan is I have quite a rich wife with a stable job.
Yes, yes.
So how would you break down your income, just quickly, roughly?
Income-wise, I would say it's 50-50 really at the moment, because some projects that I take on, especially very art-based projects, are not necessarily commissioned highly.
By the way, I'm going to bow down. No one can see this on a podcast, but that's great. 50% purely artistic work.
Yes.
And 50% from other.
Yeah, from other. Yeah.
From boring things.
I wouldn't say boring. No. So that's how I built, going back to what I mentioned about having to build my life around wanting to be an artist, and everything I do is solely to further that, you know. And actually, I did make a small pact to myself that I want to, if I'm going to earn 100%, I believe, on art as an artist, I believe that I can't be a freelancer.
Yes.
That's how I believe it. I have to dedicate myself into a certain, maybe a certain trust that does arts or whatever, or a company. I have to do that because...
You mean, when I freelance, you can't be a freelance artist and just getting commissions for various projects from various
No, you can. I'm not sorry.
for you?
Yeah, for myself. Why I say that is because it's just how my personality is. Yeah, I believe that if I put myself still at a freelance mode, I don't think I will reach 100%. Yeah, because I am someone with a lot of interests as well, not just my passion for arts. So I would do many things at the same time, and it would clash, you know. So until I get to a level where I don't call myself a freelancer anymore, maybe there's a company or whatever, then I will say yes, I will earn 100% from as a performing artist. Yeah.
So this is very unusual in places like Hong Kong to dedicate your whole life to being an artist. So where does this come from? Is it from your parents, from your early backgrounds?
Well, I've always had a streak of performance in myself, as in I've always loved performing since a kid. You know, I did love dancing. So funny story, I once looked back at my primary school reports in Hong Kong before I left to live in Malaysia. So my teacher was saying how I had to express, I was learning to express with words rather than just movement now. And I could not believe my eyes, you know, like when I saw it, it meant a lot to me, because I realized that I'm just someone that love expression, and with the love of expressions, I believe that I've always just had this part of me to be an artist. That's what I believe.
So there's the thing that first of all you expressed yourself with lots of movements,
yes,
and then later on you learned to express yourself with words.
As I grew older in primary school, apparently my teacher noticed the change in where I started using words, you know. That was interesting, yeah.
But when did you start professionally? When did it change from being a hobby, maybe at school, to being something that you are going to do professionally full time?
This is actually a very interesting transition. I knew I would always have dance with me by my side, and somehow it was the influence of coming down to Hong Kong, but also before that it was in UK as well. When I was in England, I realized my source of income started coming from performing, and it was just a natural state where I started delving myself more into it, and it just naturally went into place. Well, not naturally. I mean, there were a lot of challenges as well, you know. And then over a few years after that, ever since the start of that, I realized that this is it. It's just how I want to go with my life, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe I would be good in quite a few industries as a professional, for professional career, but it's not the same. And this goes back to our question about how I see arts as the way of life. I think that plays into a very important role of why I chose this as the way as my career and, you know, thing I want to do professionally.
Were there any big turning points, or was it gradual?
I would say the whole process was quite gradual, and the whole process itself was a turning point.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
And quickly, I'm quite interested to see. You were born in Hong Kong.
Yes. No, sorry. I was born in Malaysia.
Born in Malaysia, and your parents are.
My mom's from Malaysia, also born in Malaysia. My dad's from Hong Kong. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were born in Malaysia, and then you moved to Hong Kong at quite a young age?
Yes, so I always remember this because my parents kept saying it. I was born in Malaysia, and at 23-year-old, I came to Hong Kong.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom brought me over to Hong Kong at 23 days. Yeah.
And then when did you go to England? That's when you...
I went when I was 17.
17?
Yes.
To study what?
And I was at Sheffield Hallam University, and I studied public relations and communications there. Yes.
All right. Brothers and sisters?
No, well, I have a half-sister from my dad's side, yeah.
Right. Here's some stuff that I picked up on the internet. This is all quite random now.
Yes.
2010, Dame du Serpent at Shangri-La Lounge.
Yes. Yes.
Is that one of your earlier shows?
Yes, that was one of my previous ventures in one aspect of dance, and that is belly dance. And what happened there was eventually I built this duo with my friend, and we did contemporary fusion belly dance. So it was belly dance but mixed with contemporary techniques. And it was kind of like because I was at university at the time as well, so it was like a really test trial, you know, just doing something with my friend, you know. And surprisingly,
was this in the UK then?
yes, this was in the UK, yeah. And surprisingly, people liked it, you know. Eventually, in 2010, 2011, we went to Amsterdam for our first show, theater show, with a well-known contemporary fusion belly dance sort of group. They set that up, you know, they have their own theater company. And it was really huge for us because it's funny, sometimes the things that you don't really think about when they happen, and they happen at such a big scale, you just go like, wow, you know, it's quite an honor.
It's one of those things at university, often there are all kinds of amazing opportunities.
Yes.
I remember at university, all kinds of just weird stuff.
Yes, but it's funny because actually this was outside. I was at university, but it was outside. I was with another dance troupe in the UK, and it was a partner, like she was one of the dancers there, and we just thought, okay, why not just try it, you know? And yeah, that was how it started. Yeah.
Here's another question. Question from left field. Teaching modern tribal fusion. So you do teaching?
Yes. So tribal fusion, I used to do. Tribal fusion is a type of belly dance. You know, there are different belly dance. There's cabaret, American cabaret.
Really?
Yeah. There are different types, and there is tribal belly dance.
Check it out. Find out.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So there are quite a few different types. And tribal fusion is one of the more. It's basically using tribal techniques and then using more modern techniques infused into it. So, for example, some dancers, tribal fusion dancers, they do a lot of popping. They incorporate popping and locking techniques.
Right.
You know, we incorporated contemporary, so contemporary fusion. You know, so it's a mix. You know, and it's actually really a sight to see in Europe. It's huge and it's really nice. Yes. The way, the innovation into belly dance was amazing. And it's not just about the dance, it's the anatomy. You see the way they are able to incorporate their body into the movements. It's just very different. And yes, so that was a huge, it developed in us. And I taught, because I was, like I said, I was with a previous dance troupe in UK, and through there I was mentored, and then I did do teaching, you know, and that was my style then, and I taught that style to people, you know, because I was very dedicated to it, and people just really liked it of that. So I'm really glad, and yeah, I did dabble in it. Yeah.
Do you know anything at all about the history of belly dancing in corporate shows? Because when I go to corporate shows, that's one of the things I noticed through the 90s and through the noughties and still in the present day.
Yes.
Is that often at corporate events they'll hire magicians, they'll hire jugglers, they'll hire unicyclists, and also they'll often hire belly dancers.
Yeah, so usually those at corporate shows or what I used to, if you see the really glam ones, you know, with the sparkles and maybe the really nice flowy skirts and hair down. I mean, I don't want to generalize, but if you see at least any like more sparkly outfits or more glam outfits, I would say, not sparkly, glam outfits, they are usually the cabaret belly dance, and it's very popular. And don't get me wrong, it is amazing actually, because a lot of the movements are very big, and it's not an easy feat. One, it can be very energy exhausting. I mean, for tribal fusion or tribal fusion belly dance, it is more internal. Like I said, some belly dancers and well-renowned in UK and US, they incorporate popping and locking into their movements. It's similar, you know. It's the internal muscles used, which actually, sorry, scratch that a bit. Belly dance uses internal muscles anyways, dance does, but I would say the projection of it is different. Yeah, one is more external, one is more internal in that sense. Yeah.
And is teaching a useful way for an artist to make money, do you think?
It would be a useful way, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say that teaching like should be the only source, because or I would like to say money shouldn't be the only objective for teaching, because one thing we need to remember is when you teach, that person of course learns from you and they take it with them. And if we only focus on money and not the fundamental basis of what we're teaching, it can go awry, you know. So that's why I haven't really dabbled too much into teaching, simply because I'm not confident yet in whether I can teach correctly. You know, I love teaching actually. I love more like I love sharing my experiences and skills where I can, but to teach is a whole different level, and that's why I really respect teachers. It's not easy. Yeah.
If there's anyone listening who want to learn some kind of belly dancing, or any kind of dance, is there any company or place that you recommend? Any friends?
Well, oh wow, in Hong Kong there are loads. There are really loads of good dancers around actually. Not all of them do teaching, but I'm sure they're like, they can be contacted.
People can Google it.
Yeah, they can Google it. Yeah. So
here's another left field question. Oddly enough, video! Exclamation mark! I love it. Co.uk 2012. So
oh gosh,
that's a great video.
Okay, so when I was in England, I also did some modeling. Oh gosh, going back to this is a bit funny. And so this lady, this designer, she upcycles her fashion.
Yeah.
And she designs through upcycle fashion. Or along those lines. My memory's a bit fuzzy, but so we did a photo shoot for her, and she wanted me to do a promo video for her then collection. And yeah, so she, you know, being a dancer as well, I played around just being cheeky, and it turned out great. It was I don't know what they call it, but it's like a stop motion sort of video similar to that or something like that.
Yeah, it's really good. Check it out online. I'll put the details in the details for this podcast. Oddly enough. Yeah, it's really good.
Wow, I didn't believe you found out. That was a long time ago.
Here's something closer to probably the closest thing to what I do. I've seen you're also a fire dancer, fire performer.
Yeah.
So where did you learn that?
That was in England. A lot of things did happen in England as well. I was trained by one of the main performing troupes in England. They did a lot of firework as well. They are pastiche.
Pastiche?
Yeah, pastiche. So it was amazing, because when I first started, I still remember the first day I was learning fire. They taught me to breathe fire straight away, because they said if you can do this, you can do all the other stuff like body burning. And I was like, wow. And actually, it's not difficult to learn the skill, but it is difficult to master the skill for a fire, the ins and outs of fire. It's because it's fire, so it's dangerous, you know. Dangerous not to yourself, but also to people that are watching. If you're not careful and you don't know, if you're not like in tune and detailedly skilled with fire. So yeah, that's how I started. Yeah.
What fuel do they use?
Until today I still use the same fuel. They use paraffin, or which they call kerosene here.
Yes.
And but yeah, that's what I've been using until now. So yeah.
When you're doing a show with fire, how do you extinguish the fire? There's lots of performers have their own techniques.
Oh, I love this. Okay.
So you're doing a fire show, you've done your set, but it's still, the club or whatever is still burning. So what do you do to put it out?
Okay, I used to like to blow it at the beginning of my time.
Just blow it out.
Yeah, but as I got more into defining myself or what type of fire performer, so I do more with fire eating, body burning, so I use the sticks and the fans a lot. I end up just eating it all. Like I just finish the show by eating the fire out. That's how I do it now because I'm so used to it and confident with it. So.
Are you worried about? You still do it?
Not much anymore because Hong Kong restrictions are very tight, so,
Yeah. Was it easier to do in the UK? I haven't done it in the
yes,
UK for
actually,
20 years.
I did a lot of firework around in UK because one in UK, what I really like, they have performance insurance, and through performance insurance, you can get a specific one for fire performers and stilts performers, and even I did angle grinding, which is doing the fire sparks.
Yes.
Yeah, so these you get specific
You should say that.
insurance.
Angle grinding. Check it out if you know what it is. It's really cool.
Yeah, that was another funny.
Sparks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really funny. So they have specific insurances for these performers.
Wow.
But Hong Kong itself, I'm not too in the
Hong Kong,
know.
I've hardly ever been allowed to do fire juggling. Hardly ever in Hong Kong. Indoors, almost never. Outdoors, occasionally.
I've done some. But it's really subjected to building regulations, a lot of fire safety, and it's just really, really. There's a word for it. It's really difficult. I can't think of the word at the moment, but it's just very tedious, and it was really tough. Actually, I had to get a lot of documents to prove. They had to know exactly what type of fuel, what type of things that we're using. So there was a lot. Yeah.
Has anything ever gone wrong? Fire big mistakes with fire?
Fire, let me see. Actually, it's funny because fire is so dangerous. You tend to have less mistakes because you're so careful. You know. I think the only time was actually it was like a mistake at a moment, and I couldn't guess the wind change.
Right.
So I was doing this outdoors, and there was a wind change suddenly, and this was in England, and you know how windy England gets sometimes up north. And what happened was I was eating, and the wind suddenly changed to the other direction, so the fire burned the back of my throat. But it was fine. I mean, at the end of the day, you learn to deal with it as well, you know. And it wasn't a bad burn because once you feel it, you immediately remove yourself from the situation, right? So it was fine. It wasn't really bad, but it was just it was quite scorched for a week or so. But that was I can't control. I didn't foresee it. I couldn't control it. The wind just changed, and that's how it happened. But that's the how should I say, hazards of the jobs.
Oh, here we are. Grind show. Kieran said Kieran is episode 44 and episode 56 on this podcast.
Yes.
Kieran Love. He said you're doing some grind shows with him.
Well,
maybe practicing.
Yes. Well, we're looking into developing that at the moment because.
Let's say that someone here doesn't know what grinding is.
Okay.
Can you just describe it?
So grinding, it's not you grind your pelvis or whatever. No. Well, in a way it is, you know, like because you have to wear this metal plate, and then you have the grinder whereby they don't use the sharp plates like the construction workers. We use more blunt plate where
there's a spinning metal
it's
plate
a spinning metal
that you apply to the metal on your body, and it creates these amazing sparks.
Yes, and it creates these sparks, and because Kieran himself, they do fire and all that as well, and we have been in talks for that, and we have wanted to develop this. So we'll see where we'll go with it. It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. The ideas he wants to do.
Off the top of my head, I guess you'd need battery-powered grinders. Otherwise, the cables would get in the way of your.
Actually, in UK we did cables.
You did cables.
We did cables. So there were certain ways of setting up ourselves. So we had to know all that as well, how to set it up and make sure where the wire, whether it's on our right side of the arm or left side of the arm, you know, and then we have to angle it properly so it doesn't tangle up with us, and
Any particular safety issues that because I've never done grinding that you have to know about?
Never ever aim your sparks into any sort of electrical appliance at all.
Okay.
You never know wherever there is like a little inlet for the fire sparks, and that could be dangerous. Yes.
You were working with Kieran this year at the AIA Great European Carnival in central Hong Kong, and you were working sort of as an organizer, were you? Or were you a performer?
No, I was a performer. Yes. When I did the Christmas one last year, I was helping out, just lead the team. Well, one of the three leaders, because we had different shifts. So it's just generally keeping them together and going through the choreography and being Miss Santa. So it was fun.
Do you like being in charge, or do you like being someone who's told what to do?
Actually, I wouldn't say I like being in charge, but I think I naturally want to, because I am someone that likes things to go the right way, or I like to take care of people, put it that way. I have this really maternal instinct of me, and I think that kind of translates it into at least some sort of leadership at times, but I actually do like being told sometimes, because it takes up my mind of a lot of stress and responsibilities and anxiety.
When I first met you, you were working for an event company,
BPM,
Dance Productions.
Yes. Actually, going back to about having dancers, I mean, they have they do a lot of corporate shows, but they have a very good pool of of their creative work as well in Hong Kong. One of the tops actually here, and they have. I mean, they don't necessarily teach because they're not a studio, but I'm sure that they have really good dancers that they can recommend. Yeah.
Did you enjoy working for an event company, booking the events, talking to clients?
Oh wow! Actually, you know what? That was a real experience for me. Actually, it was a very important experience for me as well, because what happened was I learned the whole spectrum of being in performance.
Yeah.
And I will always be very, very grateful actually on that, because I felt like by being in that, it taught me a lot about being a performer, and the respect I have learned to see all the different sides of performance has opened up. I can tell you that. Yeah, that was really a turning. Actually, that was a very big turning point for me and a part to the decision of why I chose to become a full-time artist.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So you saw a lot of different performers.
Yes, and not just performers, but also different aspects. Like the production, the audio and the lighting. The setup. And also the management companies.
I think that's an important point, because as a performer, you kind of think, oh, I'm the show, I'm the main person, it's all about me. But actually, there's so many other things.
Yeah.
And decent people.
Yes.
And sometimes as a performer, all you see is the bad side of the event company. They don't pay you on time. They don't do this on. They don't do this on time. But actually, event companies, they have to work very hard.
Yes.
And for example, one thing I realised is that when someone calls me and says, an event company calls me and says, "Are you available for a show?"
Yeah.
It's really useful for them if I call them back straight away.
Yeah.
If I wait a day or two, they're going to be waiting. Is Ben available?
Actually,
Is he not available?
Yeah.
Is Ben going to call me back? Should I call someone else? But if I call someone else, then Ben calls back, then I'm going to be back. Yeah, it's lots of things to realise.
The coordination part is not a simple thing. Actually, doing it, like the action itself is simple, but the details of it, for example, like you said, you have to wait, and then you have to balance whether prioritize and all that, but then you get an answer back, and sometimes it could get messy.
Yeah.
But at the professional level, it's not a big problem, but it does help. I
would say any performer who doesn't really respect the event companies, you should try working as an event company in an event company for a while, and you realise it's not that easy.
Yeah, it's rare. It's actually it takes up a lot of brain power and energy. Actually, that's why. And actually, for example, there are a few companies in Hong Kong that focus on entertainment production. So I wouldn't say event companies, but more they are entertainment production companies. So they create the entertainment specifically for the client or the events, And and
bespoke entertainment, something created just for that event,
bespoke,
for that company.
so in things like that. And these actually, it's even more work sometimes because you have to stipulate between the criteria of the client and also having to manage the talents, and even sometimes when it's a big production, there's a lot of vendors involved, so it's actually more than three-way sort of communication that goes on a daily basis. And
do you prefer,
big up to them.
What kind of communication do you prefer? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer a direct phone call? Do you prefer WhatsApp? What's your best way these days?
I mean, unless it's like from my experience, unless it's an emergency, email. I mean, of course you can if you know them well, then yes, you can message them or call them.
Sometimes I find that if you start messaging, the conversation just goes on and on and on. Email, at least it's send the email, get the answer, and it's pretty much sorted out.
It's just I think it's a consideration when it comes to direct contact through phone. There needs to be a time limit. One thing I noticed as well, as I'm a dancer as well, the concept of time is quite ambiguous, because we probably have jobs during the day and then during the night, and you're unable to get back to people until maybe the night or the next morning. And my advice on that is do contact more during the daytime rather than late at night or something, unless it's unless it's a huge emergency. I mean, I understand, but sometimes there are responses that could wait, and it's really difficult. I mean, of course, at the other hand, probably I would have switched, switched the phone off or whatever, so we won't receive it. But I think it's just professional courtesy.
Yeah, especially as most of the artists are freelance. So if they've got their calls coming in all day long until midnight, they feel like they've never got any time off as an artist. I find sometimes. People call me at midnight. Are you available for the show tomorrow? Send me videos. Send me an email. Send me comments.
It's tough.
Tomorrow.
I mean, either way, it's just very. Time management is another thing, and it's just, it's not easy.
Okay. I'm going to dust this down, so I'll really forget. As a dancer, and as any kind of physical, as a juggler as well, there's often a limit to how long the body can carry on for.
Yes.
And you are still very young.
I wouldn't say very young.
Well, you're still young. But have you thought about long term?
Yes.
There will come a day when your body says, I don't want to do this kind of dancing.
Yes, I have actually.
And do you have any plans?
I don't have any concrete plans at the moment, but yes, I've always known in performance I cannot physically always be there on stage.
In your ideal world, what would you like to transition into?
In my ideal world, I would love to develop myself one day to the level where I can transition into being a director. As an artistic director, because it comes back to when I do a lot of writing to create concepts.
Yes.
I really love that actually, and sometimes when I remove myself from the stage, I see a lot more. And I think with my experience in production as well, albeit it's not tens and years of experience, but it's given me a good foundation to know that is a road I do want to go down. The industry itself, I would think it would be more theatrical though, and more like in theaters. More in theaters. I prefer that. Or very artistic projects for cultural development of a country or a city sort of thing, or especially for social sort of issues as well. And that's an influence from my teacher actually, for social issues for children and all that.
YouTube.com/Jing Lee. You've got some great videos on YouTube.
Thank you.
Do you edit them yourself?
Sorry?
Are you able to edit videos yourself?
Very basic skills of editing, and that's I would advise for any performers or any creative, even if it's the most basic skills of playing around just to get to know Photoshop, editing, music, just try. It's very useful, very useful.
You're talking about learning some computer skills?
Not computer skills. Computer skills is typing, basic computer MS typing skills, but these editing stuff. Just learn a bit of like the basics of it is more than enough. It's very fundamental actually.
Which ones do you like to use? Anything?
Whatever was in Mac, that Mac editing video, and for music I think. I haven't really touched on music besides cutting.
Well, most video editing software will also be able to edit the music anyway.
And for Photoshop, I love Photoshop. I mean, I know most basic skills, but it's fun.
I don't know if you'll recognise this. No one can see it, of course, on the podcast. This is a fancy photo on Facebook.
Yes.
That?
Oh, yes.
It's got you jumping with like a spotlight above you and a light below you.
That was my photo shoot with.
Where did you get these photos from?
This was from Frank Freeman.
Frank Freeman.
Yeah, he's an amazing photographer. Actually, he came up with the concept, and this was the point. Actually, this photo shoot was the point where really pushed me to deciding to being a full-time artist, because I think I finally saw myself. You know?
So go onto Facebook.
Frank Freeman,
also go onto your Facebook, Jessie Jing, and you'll see the lovely photos.
Yeah. It was just like literally one light, and it was all black.
Beautiful.
I loved it. Yeah.
Ophelia Giaccarini, painter.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Giaccarini, yes, but I call it Ophelia, So, yes.
You love
French
artist.
art. Yeah, French artist. Amazing artist, actually. She's actually doing something on this weekend, I think, with another dancer.
Is she based
Sarah.
in Hong
Kong? She's based in Hong Kong right now. She's also a dancer.
By the way, I'm sorry, I've jumped in here. So if you go on, I'll put this in the notes as well, but there's a lovely, I think I must have seen a video of you at one of her events.
Performing for her exhibition Origin.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah, it was. So she started off having a residency to create this exhibition at Light Stage, which is in Sheungwan, and then it became the standing exhibition for the week called Origin, and so. There were 3 sections to it, and I was very inspired by her work, especially 2 of her exhibitions. One of it was, I think it was called Consciousness, something like that, and then it was very, very, very nice. And I was so inspired, and I did a piece there. I did a full performance around the 3 exhibitions, and I actually physically felt my heart shake when I did the final song in the performance. It made me think a lot about life. It was amazing. She's doing something for Le French May this month, so you can check her out. She's really good as well. She's doing, I think she's doing another painting and also a dance collaboration with another dancer in Hong Kong, Sarah Shao. Actually, if you want to learn contemporary dance, she's a very good dancer for that. So
there we go. Say the name again.
Sarah Shao, so Sarah, and then Xiao.
Okay. Ceramic with an S. That's a funny video. Is that a pop music video? What was that?
Yeah. So it was that was for the new song, and again, that actually for a commercial job, that was very, very nice. Very nice to be there that day.
A commercial job, so that actually you made some reasonable money.
Well, I mean, when I say commercial, I mean it would be the product would be used for commercial purposes. But BPM was involved. Albeit the whole
BPM is BPM Dance Productions.
Yes,
the event company, production company you're working with.
So, but it was a separate sort of introduction into the job, but they were also in there, and Jen was the director of the choreography and all that,
Jen is from BPM.
From BPM, and so there were four plus one dancer. So why I say that is one was the lead. So she's one of the long-time dancers in Hong Kong, Angela Hang from Studio Dance. So she was the lead female, and she was doing dance acting, as the female protagonist. And there were 4 dancers: me, Ling, Tonya, and Kim. Yeah. So we were doing like her inner emotion sort of, representation
Check
and
it
all that.
out. You can find it. I'll put the link in the notes.
Yeah,
It's a good video.
and if
Fun
anyone
video.
wants to learn, like all these names that I'm saying, like the dancers, they are all great dancers, so you can learn from them. Yeah,
Hong Kong rent is super expensive.
given.
How do you find space to rehearse and practice?
Definitely finding studios, if any, especially for commercial jobs. But outside of studios, sometimes if it's for self rehearsals and practice, then you can find any place. I mean, I love to go to Tamar.
Oh, the park.
Yeah, the Tamar Park, and actually, or my place downstairs, there's quite a space there, but it's all concrete, so I try to avoid it because I do a lot of floor work. So I don't want to scratch my knees out.
If you had your own, so if someone's if you have your own, if you're in charge of a piece of work, and you don't mind just going to Tamar Park. Is that how I pronounce it?
Tamar, yeah,
Tamar
I call it Tamar.
Which is a big grassy area in central Hong Kong.
Well, they
and
have
you
that
don't
wooden
mind-
area.
And the wooden area.
The wooden
yes,
planks,
the wooden planks, and you can go down to there and just practice.
Yeah, I can, and sometimes being by
Are there
the...
any music restrictions? Can you play music?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not much of a problem if you don't play it too loud. But I play it with in-ears anyways, with headphones or something. So it's not much of a problem. And sometimes having the view of the harbour is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
so it's
a great place to practice.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, I'm sure a lot of dancers understand when I say you can dance and practice anywhere.
Do people come and watch when you're rehearsing?
Well, they do look, but at the end of the day, I mean, hey, it's good to share.
Do you ever get business inquiries from someone who's seen you rehearsing?
Well, no, not well. I mean, like people have asked me before, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess you can't see I'm dancing, but it's okay. No, but it's just sometimes in Hong Kong, I think it's important to have these little quirks as well. It's a bit serious sometimes the place, and it's nice to have these sparks of different little quirks.
Well, no, this is right. This is basically right where the government is. This is very serious territory, isn't it?
Yeah.
The area, and there you are.
Yes.
Dancing. It's beautiful.
Well, I practiced fire once in my old residence. Near my old residence, we had another harbor there, and then I did practice fire there, and that was very cool because people never seen it in practice. And it was good because they were like, wow, they're kids, and then they were watching, and sometimes it's nice for them to see it. At least they see the elements of performance, It's nice without having to specifically go to a show or anything. So
In the past, I've rehearsed new shows by busking. I was in Singapore, and there was a place where you could busk, do a proper stage show.
Yeah.
So I'd actually rehearse, even collect a little bit of money.
Yes.
And I'd rehearse a full stage show in front of an audience.
Nice.
That's good.
Busking. Yeah.
Similar with fire.
Yeah.
Sometimes I rehearse my bubbles just
Oh
in the
yes,
street.
your bubbles. Yeah.
And then actually it's just down the road sometimes. Sometimes I come down here at lunchtime near Central.
Yeah.
And where people are giving out flyers, I'll be making bubbles and at lunchtime, and people will just come by and ask for my name card.
Oh yes.
So that's kind of handy for marketing.
That's handy. Yes. Yeah.
Marketing, because yes, you want to. You're doing art for art's sake, but at the same time, you need to make money to survive in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And there's lots of ways of marketing yourself. There's social media, there's the internet. There's also doing things like I do, where I just go out on the streets doing bubbles.
Yes.
Are there any particular ways of marketing that you like doing? Marketing yourself.
Yes.
Trying to get work.
Of course I do the standard show reels, videos, and I use social media. It's hard. At the moment, I have this thing about hardline marketing for myself. I prefer word of mouth, because I think that's actually the most traditional, but also the best way of marketing, And
I agree.
Yeah, and
I do a good show. I give out a good show. I would say I do a birthday party.
Yes.
I do a good birthday party, so I can give out my name cards.
Yes.
And then word of mouth continues. Someone says, "Oh, we saw you do that show, that birthday party."
Yes. And I think it goes back down to my my decision still being as freelancer, and I think, don't get me wrong, there are many dancers that have done very well with the marketing even on just social media. You know, they're very good, and but I haven't broached that area simply because I have this weird sort of aspect of me that I feel like it's hard. It's not hard, but I'm quite hesitant in marketing myself actually. But I mean, like doing things like that, interviews, it's very nice for me because, like I said, I rarely do interviews, and it's just fun to talk to people and all that. I mean, but yeah, I just so far just stick to the standards, you know, show reel, word of mouth, and like, you know, social media updates. And
I find that with any sort of marketing on the internet, you read about it and someone says this is great, and by the time I try it, it's already out of date and there's something else, there's a new form of social media to market on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I stick to the standard Instagram and Facebook. It's the most, because I mean, performing arts is visual as well, right? So Instagram is very good, and you know, Facebook, some people, some really good dancer, like high-profile performing artists, they even take another step to create a page and all that. So I've tried all that as well. I mean, like, you know, little things like that. But I still feel at the end of the day, I like it more organic. Yeah, and although it means that I do not get like high traffic of contacts by people, I just feel like, okay, at least the things that I've been asked for, they know how.
It seems to me, from listening to you in the podcast, you've mentioned a lot of artists, so we must know you through word of mouth.
Yes,
when something happens, they'll say, "Oh, well, ask Jessie
sorry,
to be involved."
I like to add to one point. One marketing way you can say though, but I wouldn't see it as marketing. That's why I didn't think about it until now. Well, I do a lot. Like I like to get involved with collaborations, you know, like with Ophelia, that was one. I mean, I really choose the projects that I really like, and I do that, and somehow that translates into marketing as well. But it's not hardline marketing.
Contacts.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm doing the performance, and people can see the essence of it. You know, sometimes for me, I feel like I always worry that I over deliver in terms of, I not over deliver, I over promise through maybe videos or what, because people don't see the whole picture. Next month, yeah.
Jessie Jing, brilliant. Alrighty, that's Jessie Jing. Great talking to her. This is Big Ben. Stay tuned. New episodes come out every Wednesday. Take care. Have a good week. Bye bye.